Jason from Pro Guitar Studio, and today we're going to take a look at a very fun blues piece that I wrote for you. Now this piece was inspired by a song by Tommy Tucker. So I heard this song called High Heeled Sneakers. Now it's one of his most famous songs, but the feel for this tune I really liked, and I thought it was a really nice crossover between 12-bar blues, but also some soul, some funk. So it had a really nice feel to it. So this is inspired by that, and I kept it in the same key. So High Heel Sneakers is in the key of C, blues in the key of C. So that's what we're doing here today. And really what we're looking at is trying to blend that sort of straight, sort of funky soul feel with the, I guess, shuffle or swing feel of blues, right? So as we dig into this, you'll feel that the way I've written this anyways is that if we're counting at a slower pace, the 16th note is what gets a swing feel, whereas the 8th note gets a nice straight feel. Now, if you made it a faster tempo, you can call this, a standard blues, but it would be, instead of 12 bars, 24 bars. So if we're going to call it a 12-bar blues, we're going to call it a nice slow tempo. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. But the whole idea here is to understand what you can do behind these dominant chords. Okay, so last week we had a lesson on dominant arpeggios. This week we're going to look at these dominant chords. So the chords we're using here are C7, F7, and G7, whatever way you want to play them. And so behind that is like, usually it's just playing the pentatonic for a lot of people when they start off with the blues. So how can we make that sound more soulful, more interesting? How can we change it so it's not just the pentatonic? We give the pentatonic some life. So I have some ideas here, and let's just dive right in. Play it. Okay, so looking at what we have here, we're starting off in the key of C, right? So C minor in terms of the blues. For the typical pentatonic player, even though we're playing dominant chords, often you're going to approach it from the C minor pentatonic approach, okay? So when we look at this actual scale, a lot of these notes sound really cool over top of the C7 chord. We have the root note, right? Sounds really good. The next note is a flat third, but in the C7 chord, we have a major third. So we're playing an E flat, and in the chord, we have an E. So in this case here, if you dig into the theory behind it, we can call this a sharp 9. So if you think of the chord, like the Hendrix chord, like the C7 sharp 9, we have a major third, but also a sharp 9. So in one instance, you can call that a flat third, but we can call that a sharp 9 here. We have the fourth, the fifth, so the fifth sounds good, the flat 7, and then back to our root. So the root, the sharp 9, the fifth, and the flat 7 sound pretty cool. But the sharp 9 clashes a bit with the chord because we're playing a C7, we have that E note, like I said. So a lot of times when you hit that note, it can sound good, but you might want to actually bend it a semitone, or even less, sometimes a quarter tone. So in this case here, the semitone would be this high. I'm going to bend this note as our first note from the phrase we're playing in this piece. Just a semitone, or sorry, just a quarter tone. So not a full, like that, so not a full half tone. We'll say half of that half tone, okay? So it's half of a 1 fret distance. So when we bend that, it's hard to actually get the exact comparison because this here is a half tone. We want to go less than a half tone. So I'm going to start bending this note here, fret number 8 on string number 3, okay? So E flat to an E, and if you were looking at the intervals, D sharp to an E. And just a semitone, I guess not quite E, I should say. Resolving to the C note. And this first phrase is over a C7 chord. Now I just played it in the background. Okay, so in that sense we have a slower tempo if we're calling it 16th notes. Now if you want to extend it to 24 bars in terms of writing it out, it would be a like that, okay? And then we have this swing 8th feel. But just to give it some more context in terms of how we're putting it together for 12-bar blues, we're going to call that a swung 16th note. So the 8th notes, that's two 8th notes right there. That's one beat. Right now when we do a 16th note, you're going to swing that note, which means the second note is going to be shorter than the first one. So we have the scale like, right? Long, short, long, short, long, short. Just to give you an idea. So first note to the root note, and then going to G, which is our 5th interval, string number 5. Then we're playing 8, 10 on string number 4, which is a flat 7 to the root. All right, so sort of very funky there. Next note we're going to do is we're going to go from an E flat to an E again, but this time we're not going to bend it. We're going to slide from the 6th fret on string 5 to the 7th fret. Alright? Next note we're going to play is the root note again, so the 8th fret on string number 4. Alright? Then we're going to play the F note, so string number 5 on the 8th fret, to an E flat again, that's our sharp 9. C note, so this is 8, 6, C is going to be on the 8th fret of string 6, and we're going to go to the 6th fret on string number 6. We're going to stop there, that's our flat 7, okay, and we're going to play a B flat for our flat 7. Now the cool thing here is I'm ending the phrase on that note, which is unresolved, so with the C7 chord, it sounds like it wants to go back to C, but we're going to leave it there. Just a little bit of hang time. Alright, now next phrase. We're going to do the same thing up until we slide into the E note. Then we're going to play the 10th fret, string number 2 and string 3 together, which is the 4th and the 6th. It's not in the pentatonic scale, but it's very cool. It works out pretty well. It's part of the major pentatonic, we can say. This note right there. And then we're going to play the 8th fret on string number 2 and 3. So this is going to be our 5th and our sharp 9. Now I do a scratch drum in between, so like. So after this, dead notes. And those two notes, the 10th fret and the 8th fret together. So double stops, right? Alright, now we're going to repeat the same first phrase again. Like that. Now the 4th phrase is very similar to the 2nd phrase. Except after the scratch drum, we're going to play the 10th fret on string number 2 and 3 twice, going to the 8th fret. Alright, so alright, so the first phrase, second phrase, third phrase, fourth phrase. Alright, now on the F7 chord that comes next, I'm going to play the root note, so 10th fret string number 3, to the 8th fret, to the 7th fret, to the 10th fret string 4. And I'm doing a lot of staccato here, right? So releasing the note, relaxing the finger. Instead of, we'll go ahead. And I'm going to slide into the 3rd interval of that chord. So this is root, flat 7, 6 to the 5th. Then slide in from the sharp 9 to the major 3rd. And then we're going to play, so that's from 6 to 7 on string number 4. To the 8th fret string number 3, 7th fret, to the 10th fret string 4. And we're doing it twice in a row. That's for our F7 chord, right? Then back to our phrase number 3 and 4 for the C chord. Now we're going to take for the G chord up here, we're going to take the phrase we did for F and we're going to do the same thing up here. And so this is basically playing through what we'll call the G mixolydian, and same with the F scale. We're doing the F mixolydian over top of that. It just highlights the actual chord more so than the scale we're normally starting with, which is the pentatonic, right? So we're going to go from the 12th fret string number 3, 10th fret, 9th fret, to 12 on string 4, slide in from 8 to 9 on string 4, then 10, 9 on string 3, back to 12th fret, string number 4. So the intervals are exactly the same for the F chord as it is for the G chord here. Then back down to the F. So those are the key parts there, sliding in from the sharp 9 to the major 3rd. So you're playing an F chord, F7 chord, just think about that exact move there. That sounds pretty cool. And so the F mixolydian scale will work really nicely if you know it, and if you maybe slide into the major third from the minor third or sharp 9. Sounds really cool, right? So from the G. Oh, here we go. And then back to our original phrase. And this last phrase, the final phrase of the song, we're going to do just an ending where we bend sharp 9 to major third, root, 5th, and then we're going to play 8, 10, 10, which is a flat 7 to root, root on string 4, okay? So from the beginning. Repeat. The G. Back. Final phrase. So there you go. That's the whole piece in a nutshell. A lot of things we can dig into there, but keeping it short and sweet. So let me know if you have any questions about the intervals, how all that works, about the scales that I'm doing there. But hopefully this gives you some ideas to play with when you play the blues, because instead of sticking with just pentatonics, we're actually playing with those pentatonic scales, bending notes. We're taking some notes from the chords, F7 and G7, and actually utilizing those and giving it more of a funky feel. So if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more lessons like this each week, and I'll see you soon.